Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on, guys? It's Filthy and I'm back with another video. Today we're looking at the Mundunugu set, and specifically a really fast key farming build. This has got so much mobility, it is absolutely crackers. You razz around really quickly, detonate large areas of the map, really nice to play, lots of fun. But before we jump into it, I just want to welcome anyone who's new to the channel. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. As always, guys, a thumbs up is greatly appreciated. And sorry if my voice sounds a little off, I'm currently self-isolating with suspected COVID. I feel fine, so it's just a cough, so nothing to worry about. Give me a bit more time to play some D3 as well in the evening, so yeah, making the best of a bad situation. But jumping in and looking at the gear for this, we're going to take the Mundunugu set, which is obviously new for this season. We're not actually going to use the season theme for this build, so this will work off season and it will work for future seasons. Now the two-piece we don't really care about. Big Bad Voodoo will follow us and last twice as long. I haven't incorporated it into the build. I don't think we need it. I don't really see much of a benefit for it. If you've got any suggestions, by all means stick them in the comments, but we're not using it. The four-piece, we gain 60% damage reduction for 30 seconds after we activate Spirit Barrage. We're not going to use that really because we've got the gold wrap on the character, so that combined with the boon of the Hoarder gem means that when we kill enemies, they drop gold. We pick them up with the boon of the, gold wrap will give us immortality, and obviously we've got the average bands to increase our pickup radius, so we kind of vortex gold towards us, that makes us invulnerable. But the four-piece does have 60% damage reduction on, so it is kind of handy. It will stop you from getting one shot occasionally, sometimes not, sometimes it will, but it's there. Six-piece Spirit Barrage deals a huge 20,000% increased damage, plus a percent equal to 5 times our mana regen. Now, mana regen isn't something you need to gear for. Specifically, the 20,000% on its own is huge. If you do pick up any mana regen, fine, it is extra damage, but you don't need to aggressively gear for it or anything like that. Now, for Spirit Barrage, we're also going to take the Barber. This deals up to 500%. Now, instead of dealing the damage directly, it accumulates over time, and then when you stop casting, it then does 500% of the damage accumulated to enemies within 15 yards. Now, you don't want to hold it down, you just double click it, then that will pretty much wipe anything at the current level that we're doing. So trash, double click, it's pretty easy. Sometimes you might get an enemy with shielding, sometimes you might get an elite with particularly high health, or something with really good defense. You might have to hold this down a bit longer. Same for the Rift Guardian, you're going to have to hold it down a bit longer. But in general, you're just tapping Spirit Barrage, which I've got on right click, and that will pretty much blow anything up for you. So we're not kind of using the channeling mechanic, we're just clicking it. Now the offhand, the Gazing Demise, is also been buffed this season, so Spirit Barrage gains the Phantasm rune, and they last twice as long, and we get increased damage on Spirit Barrage, and it also increases the attack rate from the Mana 2 Spectres, so basically it's just more damage is the easy way of looking at it. Now the Ring of Emptiness has also been changed for this season. So we get a up to 300% multiplier. We just have to get Locust Swarm or Haunt off on the enemy. It used to be both, so it's really cool that this has been changed. So we're going to go for Locust Swarm, and we're going to pick Pestilence. So the idea is that this will jump from target to target, or at least a couple of targets once it's been applied. Now this is a really lazy build because we're going to take Wormwood in the cube. So we've got this kind of like Locust Swarm aura. So it basically, the little green bits you can see going off around the character there. So what will happen is we don't even have to press Pestilence Locust Swarm, it will just go on its own, which makes it very easy. So all we have to do is right click Spirit Barrage, and you'll see the kind of Wormwood effect of the Pestilence jumping from mob to mob across the screen, so that's pretty nice. Now this technically is a pet build, so we can take the Mask of Jerem in the cube, pets deal up to 200% extra damage. We can also take the Enforcer gem as another multiplier. Also we have the Bane of the Trapped, so flat damage increase, we're going to be pretty close anyway, so this will give us some extra damage. What I would say, you've probably noticed my weapon and offhand are not ancient, so that's pretty big damage increase when I do finally find those two pieces. This also has vitality on it, which I don't really want, so I could probably get, I don't know, maybe 20-30% extra damage out of a decent weapon. Same arguably for an offhand. Once I did have those, I probably would look to dump the Bane of the Trapped, and I would probably put in the Wreath of Lightning and just juice the move speed up just that little bit extra. Probably doesn't need it because move speed we've got quite a lot, which we'll go over kind of probably in the skills. But one gear piece that does help us out with move speed is the larceny ring. This will give us up to 60% whenever we fear an enemy. We can have a fear mechanic on numlock, so that will be going off constantly, so that's really nice. And obviously Boon of the Hoarder gives us 30% move speed as well, so we're already off to a pretty good start move speed wise. Now, Amulet slot is totally open. I love the flavour of time. It's, you know, double pylons just makes life so much easier when you're speed farming, so I will generally work this in when I can. But by all means, you could take a Hellfire and pick another passive, or you could just get any kind of really GG amulet with good stats. Doesn't matter too much really. Now, what I would say is early on in the season when you're setting this up, you could always take a Squirts here, and then you'd have to take a Gizzard Gem to give you a shield, and then the gold wrap would make you immortal and give you kind of an extra modifier. You don't need it, we hit hard enough without it, but that is another trick if you're struggling for damage. If you've got, you know, really low Paragon, maybe is another way to juice the damage up, but as I say, we don't really need it. Gem in the helm, I've gone for a emerald just to get the extra gold. I tend to find I'm very thirsty on gold these seasons. We're doing a lot of really high powered rifts, so you know, you want to empower as many as you can. So whenever I can work a gold gem into the helm to get more gold, I do. But by all means, it is open. You can go for resource cost reduction if you're finding you're having problems with your mana. You shouldn't do, and again I'll show you why. Or you could go for cooldown, nothing wrong with that. It would give you a little bit more uptime on your abilities, but to be honest, we've got a mechanism in the passives that gives us so much cooldown, we don't need it. So I do think the emerald is best, but by all means you can play with it. And then obviously full damage gems in the gear, so topaz in chest and pants. And I think that probably covers the character. The only swap that I thought of maybe for the season is Thing of the Deep could go either on the character with Gazing Demise in place of the Avarice Band, or vice versa. You could have the Thing of the Deep here instead of the Avarice Band. That would give you a nice 20 yards on your pickup radius. Probably would help you getting one shot, because you know, if you run out of gold, you are still squishy as a Witch Doctor. Again, I've got some mechanisms to mitigate that, but it could be a potential swap on season, but obviously off season you'll have to run it like this. But looking at the skills, we're going to take Spirit Barrage Manitou, so this deals absolutely crackers damage. You want to get cold on your bracelet and amulet if possible, just to get that little bit of extra juice. Piranhas, Piranhanado. Now, I've left this in because this is basically a kind of defensive skill. So let's say you have not picked up any gold for a little bit of time. What you can do is if something's in front of you, you can click Piranhanado, it will lock it in place for you. You can then blow it up because it takes a little bit of extra damage, 15% extra damage. That will then allow you to pick up gold, and then you're immortal again. So this is very handy for just locking something in place, and it can be nice if you want to just like group up a little bit of elites, you know, maybe enemies that might run off, something like that. It's quite good for locking them in place. Soul Harvest, Soul to Waste. This is going to give us 5 stacks. We can have at maximum of this. It is extra intelligence, which is extra damage and toughness, but it's the move speed that we're interested in. So 5 stacks, it's an extra 25% move speed, so that's pretty handy. Now, Horrify Stalker, I put this on numlock. I will link Lord Fluffy's numlock guide for anybody who doesn't know what numlock is. But the idea is this will just go off constantly. It will always be activated pretty much. We get 20% move speed after using it, which is great, and then the skill will actually lock enemies in place, so it immobilises them, which is great. That means that the stuff doesn't run off, and it also fears, which is how we proc our Larceny Ring. So the Larceny Ring bonus is pretty much up all the time. That's one of the reasons why we can move so quick, and the extra 20% move speed off here is pretty handy. Locust Swarm Pestilence we talked about. This just makes it dead lazy. It jumps to extra enemies. The Wormwood is giving us an aura. Just works really well. You'll see from the footage from the gameplay that I'm showing, it's dead easy to blow stuff up because we're getting that 300% multiplier from the Ring of Emptiness all the time. And then Spirit Walk Severance, just ridiculous mobility off this. This gives us you know, really, I think it's double move speed, which is really nice. And we're also obviously completely immune to damage, can go through anything for 2 seconds, so it's really nice. Now, passive wise, Confidence Ritual, the way I like playing this build is just right in the thick of things. I love I want to pick up the DBs, I want to stand in explosions, I want to just melt stuff at close range. So the extra 25% damage seems to be, a good idea. Grave Injustice, this is great. This gives us just ridiculous cooldown. It is one of the absolute best passives in this game. When you make a kill, you get 1 second off your skill cooldowns. Just absolutely brilliant. You'll see that Piranha Nados pretty much refreshes instantly, Soul Harvest refreshes instantly, Spirit Walk refreshes instantly. It's only if you run out of enemies to blast that your skills are unavailable to you, and it is just amazing. You blow something up, you can then Spirit Walk away, find the next group of enemies, blow them up, and then you've got access to all your skills. Really amazing. Spirit Vassal, this is absolutely essential because when you start a new floor, when you start off a rift, you're not going to have any mitigation. You can maybe get your 60% for using the Spirit Walk. You can use that to duck and avoid damage, but Spirit Vassal is going to come in handy. Every so often you can run out of gold, something's going to hit you with a projectile, and this will proc. And obviously when it does, you maybe have to be a little bit more cautious, rely a little bit more on your Piranha Nado to lock something in place. But when this is off, when it's not up, as in you haven't procced it, you can be as aggressive and as bananas as you want. And then Rush of Essence, this just means that we don't ever run out of mana when we're clicking our Spirit Barrage, so again, pretty handy. Passive wise, you can swap these around. These are the ones that I like, but there's not overly set in stone. I definitely wouldn't be taking off the last three, so Confidence Ritual would maybe be one that you could do, but as I say, I quite like this. It's very fast and it does seem to function pretty well. Now in terms of gameplay, before you set off, you want to numlock Horrify. As I say, there is a link in the description to guide on that. You just want to get your Soul Harvest stacks up to 5. As I said earlier, you can use Spirit Walk Severance to avoid the first few enemies if you want. That activates your 60% damage reduction anyway. But really, your goal is to get something locked in place with Piranha Nado. Just click Pestilence just to make sure you're going to get that on the enemy if it's not like right up in your face, and then you can Spirit Barrage. Said enemy will die. Collect the gold that they drop with the Boon of the Hoarder. You become invulnerable with Gold Wrap. The Avarice Band greatly increases your pickup radius. Pestilence starts jumping around to all the different enemies on the screen, and you just keep running up to them and tapping them with Spirit Barrage. They melt, and then you basically use your movement ability to get wherever it is you need to go. Again, Horrify is constantly going off, giving you loads of move speed. Really easy to play, very nice. I do like this a lot. It's a really good fun key farming build. Really am enjoying it. Now I suppose the next natural question is, can this be used for bounties? I'd say you can play bounties with it. Obviously any kind of Boon of the Hoarder Gold Wrap build is going to struggle when there isn't quite the density, so it is a bit harder on the RNG for bounties because the enemies are spread out, but you certainly can do it. What I would say is you probably don't want to be fighting bosses with this particular setup on, because you'll probably get completely smashed because your toughness is coming from the Gold Wrap. What I would do, what I have done previously when playing Witch Doctor with these type of builds, is I'll jump into public bounties. I'll just mop up the ones that people don't want to do, the second layer of caves of this or that or the other. I'll leave the bosses to somebody else. There's always somebody running some super high build these days that can nuke bosses, and ultimately if I have to go back to town and put my push setup on, that's ultimately what you do. It only takes you a little bit of time, so I think you can work this for bounties. It will be really quick, and it still will be available off season, but that's obviously something for you to decide whether you want to do or not. But as I say, definitely a lot of fun. Now in terms of stat priorities, you don't really need to worry too much about this. You're going to probably have this similar to your push build. I'm going to gear my Witch Doctor out, I think, a bit more before making that, but you're probably likely to have cooldown, resource cost reduction, because you can take the Crimsons for that. But generally guys, just full damaging stats for this, double crit, main stat, anything that's going to give you damage basically. Area damage would be okay, just literally whatever it is that you can get your hands on. My stats aren't great, my damage isn't particularly high, sheet damage of I think 900k, so that's pretty low. It easily can get this up by 40-50% in the season, even as a casual player, just by finding some good pieces. But as this is a new seasonal character, I've got a couple of okay pieces, but nothing crazy. So that's it guys, I hope you enjoyed the build. It is a lot of fun to play, and yeah, hopefully speaking it won't catch too much of a nerf for next season, and we can certainly enjoy it probably for the next few months at the very least anyway. Other than that guys, I hope you're all staying safe. I'll see you soon for some more season 20 content. Take it easy. Peace.